Welcome everybody. I'm Amina Habib Ahmed, founder of Free Thinkers Hub. Today we're having a really interesting conversation with Ellen Red on the theme of real awakening to 5D ascension as our true soul purpose for this time. It's the sixth in our first series of podcasts. So Ellen is a shamanic healer, a speaker, a writer about developing our higher selves and serving our divine purpose to shift humanity's ascension into 5D reality. Her journey started, well, significantly at the age of 4 when she had a near-death experience and nearly drowned. There she encountered Jesus and angelic beings. Other equally traumatic experiences that involved near-death and out-of-body experiences honed her life journey to understand that she is here with a divine mission to assist humanity to align to the divinity within all life. Ellen is a shamanic healer, a psychic medium, holograph healer, astral traveling, and twin flame specialist. She's also currently authoring books, runs workshops, and does private healing. Her working career was in public relations and investigative journalism. She's a single parent, and after some traumatic personal relationships where she suffered greatly, she turned this around to understand that with great pain comes great enlightenment. Ellen has been particularly targeted as a truther recently by big tech platforms and has seen how that can interrupt the flow of her work and following. So welcome, Ellen. Welcome to this podcast. I'm so excited to be interviewing you today.
Thank you. I just want to insert one thing. I realize we are all kind of, anybody that speaks truth is maybe targeted. I guess it's maybe brings up the old witch wound for those that speak the truth, but I don't like to identify myself as a targeted person.
So okay, apologies for that if I've done that. I mean, I guess it's just the current situation that we find ourselves in which that, you know, when you do talk about, I mean, you call it the witch trooper, it's like a white witch, isn't it? You know, for good, for humanity, for serving humanity, how the dark forces, aka, you know, enshrined in big tech and other mechanisms within society, other power structures in society, you know, just cannot withstand that.
I agree. Witches in the olden days really were just people that understood herbs and the power that herbs had to heal, and people that were in tune to nature. And of course, we know that there are forces that don't want us to have that knowledge because it's not as profitable as, you know, $1,000 a month for diabetes medicine.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that particularly excites me about speaking with you is that you have this perfect synthesis between some of this old law and old wisdom and knowledge, because you talked about herbs and esoteric practice there, and a very high level of Christianity, because you have a Christian faith, and you're able to fuse those two things. So
I wouldn't even say that I have a Christian faith. I would say that I'm Christ conscious, meaning I'm in that, you know, I have an awareness of love and the laws of love, which is really what Christ consciousness is. I don't have a religious faith particularly, but I do have a faith in Christ consciousness. And that's really what Ascension's about, is learning how to become the embodiment of love, which is really just what Christ taught and Muhammad taught, and all of the other great teachers were really teaching that from different perspectives. So, but yeah, it's kind of, I just have to insert that just to, you know, for my audience anyways, because I know some people have what I call religious wounding, and they can get very, I guess, triggered by certain words, right? Words are so powerful, aren't they?
Absolutely. Yes. And you know, what we're talking about is, you know, an awakening or connection to our inner divinity. So therefore, articulating that in words can be both limiting. And as you say, the frame of reference for a lot of people can be
Yeah.
limiting. So, I mean, I'm completely on the same page as you because, you know, I've been a practicing Buddhist for a long time, but, you know, my journey, especially recently, is understanding that in terms of Christ consciousness as well. I used to call it Buddha nature. I completely understand it's a space and place of being able to express spirituality without bounds.
Yes, very well said.
Thank you. So let's go back to your near-death experiences, and out-of-body experiences as well, because these really led you to develop your intuition and psychic abilities. And particularly one of these, you witnessed the whole COVID scenario happening, as well as seeing a cataclysmic world war. You say that these are timelines in the astral grid, if I've got this right, and that they are potentials, but humanity can alter the course of these too. So, Ellen, please let us know more about that.
Okay. Yeah, you did a very good job with explaining that. But yeah, so where do you want me to begin?
Well, I mean, the whole COVID scenario being witnessed by you is really interesting, and also this cataclysmic world war, because I'm of a view that isn't going to happen, that we've avoided that. So, you know, how have we avoided it? Are we avoiding it? What do we need to do to be able to turn all of this around?
We're not at a timeline yet to be able to determine whether we've avoided it or not, for one thing. So there, you know, we still have work to do there. But for me, in 2011 is when I had a full-blown, I came out of body and I went to source. And I was activated in my 12D body. I had my 12D light body activated. I had all of my 12-strand DNA activated. And I was shown the whole story of humanity. So I saw past, present, and future timelines. And I saw, and I was impressed on me, basically, the work that we had to do for humanity. So from that point on, I really dropped the world that I had before. I actually also did real estate for almost 20 years. And I dropped my whole career in the past. I dropped everything and went onto the path of being a truth speaker and doing this ascension work. And because it was so profoundly impressed upon me how important and critical it was that we started to realign ourselves with source and with our inner truth and with our souls. We've had a lot of trickery or sorcery, and this is where the esoteric information will come in, and the occult type information that has been used in humanity in disguise to alter and split people from their souls and to take you away from your true, genuine, authentic self, so that you're kind of living in this program that's an illusion. And that illusion is leading you further and further and further away from your soul. And the more that we get away from our soul, the more we get away from nature, the more destruction that's happening, which is where we're at on the planet. And we've seen these occurrences in past timelines, not just on this planet, but other planetary systems. So it's not the first time that free will got misused. And that's really what it comes down to, is the misuse of free will. And so I witnessed at that time, definitely the COVID scenario. And I was never an anti-vaxxer. I had all my vaccines in school and those kinds of things, but I was certainly shown that there was going to be this manipulation going on in the future. And so I also was shown the perfect design in your being, your human being, the way that your body is designed by Creator, and how perfect it is, and how capable your body is of overcoming any form of illness through proper thoughts and proper nutrition, and getting, salts in your food, and getting rid of sugars and those kinds of things. So I saw the perfect design there, and became very acutely aware that we don't need most of these pharmaceuticals and Western medicine type processes. They're a program to kind of keep you in the system so that you're always reliant upon them. And it's a very multi-trillion-dollar industry. That wasn't the way that we were originally designed. Our ancestors on this planet lived without that kind of medicine for thousands and thousands of years. So I started to speak out against, that the medical industry, as well as, unnecessary vaccines or unnecessary medicines of any form. If they're not necessary and there's a natural way to heal, it's much better to go that route. And then, of course, I saw a lot of other things. And then the cataclysmic war, what I saw in that timeline was, it really was like the end of the world. It was very apocalyptic. Basically, China, Russia, the United States, and I believe Korea were involved. That's what I perceived in this experience in the cosmos. And I saw the whole planet be bombed, and I saw nothing living, not even a tree left on the earth. Everybody, it was kind of like those big superpowers of the world couldn't figure out how to coexist, and eventually everybody bombed everybody. And that was a timeline that's in the cosmos. Now, that doesn't mean that we have to reach that timeline here. And I was also shown that we do have the potential to skip timelines. And I'm in agreement with you that maybe we've kind of already reached some point of critical mass, that we have got enough awakened souls that are fighting against a lot of the things that are happening to some degree. But I think what we're seeing, even with the COVID lockdowns globally, how quickly they were able to lock down the planet, is kind of a sign of the times that we really aren't. We may have critical mass as far as awakened people, but we don't have the power yet. The people don't have the power yet. And that's what we need to fight back for now, is the power to be for the people. So, I'm not a doom and gloomer. I know that in the end, God wins, love wins. The people will, new earth, we will restore the earth to new earth codes. But when that's going to happen is going to be dependent upon humanity.
Well, I mean, you've spoken to a lot of things there. I mean, I know I asked you two questions in one. So the first one, in terms of how our true selves have been hijacked, and we've been caught up in this matrix of illusion, and been manipulated, and the misuse of free will, which is a universal law. We all have free will, and that's inviolable. And how, well, people have been conned into giving their free will away, believing that it's in their best interests. Mm-hmm. So the amount of trickery, as you said. Moving on to the apocalyptic kind of vision that you had. And I guess the message is, there's no room for lethargy here, is there? Or apathy, because actually it is down to us to save ourselves.
There's no more time. There's really no more time for us to be naive and passive, which is what we've been conditioned to be in the past.
Yeah, well, that's all part of the trickery, isn't it? To distract us, to divert us, and to keep us subdued and not in touch with the true power that lies within. So your work of shamanic journeying and other esoteric practices means that you guide others on this journey. I mean, you talked about the body as the design as the perfect healer. So again, do you want to explain more about that for our listeners and viewers?
Yeah, I think that that's really the most critical and most important part of humanity awakening and stepping into alignment with their soul so that they can do their part in preventing, further harm, is for them to have individual awakenings, which is vital and necessary. And the reason why a lot of people aren't having that, or they're not having their third eye open and those kinds of activations, is because they are energetically and spiritually and physically and mentally being hijacked, as you said, and